So, good morning, everybody. I do want to talk about AEW Dynasty, and I do want to say that, I've gone to it for like 3 years, and definitely this is usually like the weakest AEW pay per view. And one of the reasons is that they don't really build up a lot of stories into Dynasty. And this is kind of like maybe like, and this is also in WrestleMania season. So sometimes you run into that situation of how much are they really going to care when they know that people are going to be spending money on traveling to WrestleMania, or also WrestleMania is the show of shows, really. So sometimes I think to myself that Dynasty needs to go away. But I also am concerned that they have like 3 weeks left of Dynasty, so we might see a show with a lot of matches on it that have no build, no story, just there to be there. Um, so I'm saying to myself, you know what, if I was booking Dynasty, what are the matches that I would have on the show and why? So here is my, Dynasty fantasy booking. The first match that they have and that I will add onto the list is FTR versus Edge and Christian. Obviously, this is the Canadian crowd. We don't know how much time Edge and Christian have left. This could also lead to FTR, Edge and Christian, and the Young Bucks in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. That could also be a possibility. The next match is Swerve Strickland versus MJF, and there's many reasons why I want to do this. That I don't believe Swerve Strickland and MJF have ever faced each other, and I believe that not a lot of people even remember if they had faced each other. And one of the other reasons why I want to do this is that Swerve has been present a lot, where Kenny Omega has kind of appeared and disappeared. And I think that's interesting dynamics because they're both like power hungry. They both want to be at the top of the company, really. So it'd be an interesting dynamic to do that. And they've not done like heel versus heel in AEW a lot. So I really think that you get a lot more interesting stuff. And then also, when you think about Dynasty, this is like the show that that Swerve, this is like Swerve's pay per view because the first Dynasty, he became the AEW champion. And then last year he lost. So this is almost like, can I get 2 out of 3? Can this be the Swerve pay per view? So I think that tells a lot more interesting stories, less predictable stories. The next match is Kenny Omega versus Brody King, and I would do this for the Owen Cup. Like they always talk about the Owen Hart tournament. If you win this tournament, you get a shot at Wembley Stadium for you get a shot at All In for the AW Championship. One of the reasons why I want this is because I don't want Kenny Omega facing MJF, because then he's gonna have to beat Swerve, and Swerve has been there for the company a lot. He's been like more very consistent. With Kenny Omega, he's just gonna come in, do a match, lose. And a lot of people know that he's not going to become the champion, because I think that Osprey versus MJF is kind of like, the big money match, really. So I really think that, and then also Kenny Omega's close to retirement. He's not usually there a lot. So it's almost like, why should, I don't, a lot of people who are smart would say, why should Kenny Omega represent that? And then Kenny Omega gets put over Brody King a lot. And this is also good because Brody King needs to face like more like former champions, and definitely keep on, just keep on like wrestling former champions and go really really far. And I also think that the other thing that I want out of this is that Brody King versus Swerve Strickland in like a dog collar or a death match. We've already had like a death match and AEW AEW Revolution. So I really think that we have to kind of take breaks from death matches. Not every pay per view needs like a bloody, hardcore, off the wall type of match, really. Because if it's always like every match, you got to rely on a gory match. As I said, should this become Combat Zone Wrestling or whatever? The next match is that I want Will Ospreay versus John Moxley for the Continental Championship. This could also be for the Owen Cup. Again, maybe have former champions, or former champions. That could be WWE, AEW, or New Japan. But they're kind of going in this direction, and I think that would be a really great match. And obviously Moxley's the reason why Will Ospreay was out on surgery, storyline wise. So this kind of makes sense. I think this should be for the Own Cup even because they do a lot of double champions in AEW. So I really think that Will Ospreay gets through Moxley, and then he's in the Owen tournament. And I think one of the other things that's good about this is that you don't make this Ospreay versus Mox for the Continental Championship because um, it's okay to have double champions, but then it's almost like what's going to happen is Will Ospreay going to hold the Continental Championship and then he's going to face MJF and become a double champion, or is he going to? How is he going to lose that other title that he has? So I think just for the Owen Hart, champion cup, I think this is good just to kind of have it in motion really, and then kind of have it people show people to show the audience what to look forward to. The next match that I want to do is a trios ladder match. And the reason why I want to do a trios ladder match is because they have a lot of great trios teams in AEW. So I really think they need to show them off and show to the audience, hey, when you look at the trios division, um, this is what we got, and this is who can. This is actually who are the new faces of the company, really. Because I think they do have a great trios division. The first team is obviously Kevin Knight, Mystico, Speedball. Then you have the Dogs because you just brought in Dave Finlay, so you got to kind of make sure, you're bringing new people. You got to book them strong. I would do LFI as another option, because with LFI, like with Rouge and Draglistico, they've participated in trios matches before, so it would be really kind of good to give them a chance. And I think for a fourth team, you can do Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. That could be a fourth option, or you can also do the Rascals. Uh, Sorry guys, I just worked the night shift. But one of the reasons why I want to do that is again, Dalton Castle and the Outrunners, they're very eccentric. So, why not have that people with big personalities? The other thing is that the Rascals, again, you just signed them like 2 months ago. Um, and they kind of been getting over. They had like that Vegas match and everything's like that. So honestly, you have to kind of keep doing shit like, okay, well, you know what? We sign new people. We got to keep utilizing them. The next match is Megan Bain and Lana Cross versus Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor for the Women's Tag Team Championships. It's good to have a women's match. The next match you can do is Okada versus Takeshita for the International Championship. I think that would be a really great match to have, because obviously they've been feuding with each other. They obviously they've been feuding with each other. We need to kind of pull the trigger on that. The next match that I'll do is Kyle Fletcher versus Pac for the TNT Championship, because the Death Riders have been feuding with the Don Callis family for a while. So I think that this match would make sense. This is a match I don't think they ever faced each other before. Let's do something different. The next match is that I'll do Tekla versus Willow Nightingale for the Women's Championship. The reason why I would do this, number one, is that Willow is kind of like down the dumps that she lost the Women's Tag Team Championship. So maybe Harley Cameron talks to Tony Khan and says something like, hey, my girl's been doing a lot for this company. She could be the first women's trios champion, the first woman's triple crown, because she's held the tag team and now the TBS title. Maybe this is going to put her on good momentum, really. So I really think that could be the story of, Willow being mad that she wrestled 2 matches. She's down in the dumps. Now she wants to get the women's championship, and possibly we can create the story of Willow going after the women's championship. The next match that I'll add onto my list is I want to do Andrade versus Darby Allin for the Owen Cup, and I think that this would be a great match to have as well, because Andrade has been having good momentum. Darby Allin wants to go after the AEW championship, so maybe you can do that at Wembley Stadium. Maybe you can have Darby versus MJF or something like that. But I really think that could be a match, or there could be a match saying the winner faces the winner faces MJF at Double or Nothing or something like that. So there's opportunity for like that to happen. The next match that I would do is Jack Perry versus Ricochet for the national championship. I know Ricochet's in trouble for a lot of his controversy, and but I really think that you can kind of play into the controversy, or I don't think he should be. I think that if they want to do suspension, have him have the suspension come back. But don't do something like have him sit at home for like 6 or 7 months. Really, I think that you know what Jack Perry just won the national championship. It makes sense for Ricochet to just feud with him and try to get it back. And I think that that'll be good because obviously Ricochet is going to be a massive heel in this. The next match that I'll do is Ronda Rousey doing an open challenge. And that could be like Tony Storm or somebody else, really. And I think that the reason why that should happen is that Ronda Rousey just showed up. So you have to kind of do something like say, hey, we have to kind of capitalize on this. And the last match that I would have is Private Party versus the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim versus Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. And this is like a tag team elimination match. So if you get pinned, you're out. And the winner of this match faces the tag team champions at Double or Nothing. And what I would want to do is I want to do Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. They're from Queens. They're from New York. You could even do Eddie Kingston and Ortiz in this match as well because you got to get some New York people. And I think that this will be good because the Acclaim won the tag team titles at Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium. So this is kind of like a full circle. Or, what are we going to do with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens? Are they going to come back together? Can we tell a story of them coming back together? Are they going to be like the New Day where they become tag team champions and then they go after singles titles? Or are they going to come back together and go after singles titles but still be a team that looks out for each other like the New Day? Or are they going to do something where they're going to implode and then we're going to say Wembley Stadium is going to be their blow off, really? And then you put Max Caster on Ring of Honor, Anthony Bowens on Dynamite, and then they go after, like Bowens go after the heavyweight title at one point, and then Max Caster goes after the ROH title. Like there's a way for them to kind of like say, are they going to be together? And then the payoff is at Double or Nothing if they're going to be together, or they're actually going to be separate. And then also too, the Young Bucks can afford to lose this because I think that if you want to do like a tables, ladders, and chairs match with the Young Bucks, Edge and Christian, and FTR, that would be for Wembley Stadium. That would be the way. That would be the way to do it because I feel like that's like the show of their shows, really. So I think that going through a couple of opponents, Edge and Christian, that'd be good. Or even if you want to say, hey, we'll do 4 teams. It's the Acclaimed, Edge and Christian, FTR, and the Young Bucks. That could be something as well because you really want to. You can't just have the Young Bucks always win the tag team division, really. So these are like my 14 matches of the show. I know like they always try to do like 12 to 14 matches. That could be something, really. I also mentioned maybe one of the tag teams that can challenge in this like eliminator could be also Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. You can try and make them a tag team, but then again, Darby Allin said, I want to go up to the heavyweight championship. And we kind of need to do something with Darby where he's not like, oh, well, he and Orange Cassidy have tag team. Now we got to keep them a tag team. No, if Darby Allin says heavyweight, he needs to go after the heavyweight. So I think like again, like all these matches will be would have a really great show. And this way you could build some stories over the next 3 weeks. And then also too, you have like 6 shows between 3 dynamites and 3 collisions to kind of build this all together. I think this would be the card to have for the Dynasty show and make sure it is a pay-per-view that's leading to bigger pay-per-views like Double or Nothing or All In at Wembley Stadium later this year.